Let me take you back to a moment that changed the course of history, the Treaty of Hudaybiya. Picture this: the believers, led by the Prophet Muhammad, had come to make a pilgrimage to Mecca, only to be stopped at Hudaybiya. A tense standoff, nerves running high, and a peace treaty that honestly looked like a raw deal for the Muslims. Many of the companions thought they were being forced to swallow their pride, to make peace by giving up their rights. When they were ordered to shave their heads and exit their sacred state, they did so with quiet patience, even as disappointment hung in the air. But here's the twist. What seemed like a loss was actually a clear victory. The unseen had called it, even when no one else could see it. Let's break down why Hudaybiya was a masterstroke. First, it ended years of constant war between the Muslims and the Quraysh. For the first time, swords were sheathed and both sides could breathe. As historian P.K. Hitti put it, this was truly the end of an era of bloodshed. Second, the Quraysh, by signing this treaty, basically admitted that the Muslims weren't outsiders. They were people of Abraham, part of the same tradition. The walls of propaganda started crumbling. Suddenly, Arabs across the peninsula had the freedom to think, to ask questions, to see what Islam really stood for, without the pressure of war. In just 2 years, the Muslim community exploded in size, reaching 10,000 strong. Third, even in Mecca itself, Islam began to spread in ways the Quraysh never saw coming. Take Abu Jandal, for example, kept in Mecca against his will, yet he became a secret preacher. People in Mecca who couldn't migrate started changing their minds, and even some of the city's fiercest warriors like Amr ibn al-As and Khalid ibn al-Walid ended up joining the Muslims. Now, about those tough conditions in the treaty? They didn't last. Clever moves by Muslims like Abu Basir meant that the Quraysh quickly realized their conditions were backfiring. Muslims who couldn't go to Medina set up their own camp, disrupting Quraysh trade until the Meccans begged the Prophet to take them back. Even tricky clauses, like whether women could migrate, were resolved in the Muslims' favor. And it didn't stop there. The treaty made it clear Arabia now had 2 major powers, and tribes had to pick a side. Many chose the Muslims, increasing their influence even further. The Prophet was able to deal with old enemies, like the conspirators at Khaybar, and new doors opened. Letters went out as far as the rulers of Persia and Rome. Some laughed, but others listened. So what looked at first like a setback ended up being a turning point. A textbook example of patience, strategy, and vision. Hudaybiya wasn't just a treaty. It was the moment the future of Arabia and the world shifted.